That's beautiful. Because that's what it is ultimately, is to feel the quality. Because otherwise they're just words, right? I mean, it's a beautiful framework, but they're words. And so if we can't feel that, then they're not going to have the impact on the meaning that they can have if we can feel the quality. And all of these have a different texture. And I think that's the part of my own journey that has been, as I said, the hardest, but also the most rewarding is that the variation in the texture. I mean, I kid you not when I tell you when I started working with a somatic practitioner about 5 or 7 years ago. The first time, being a somatic practitioner, she dove right into it and said, "Well, what are you feeling?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I? I'm feeling this." I talked about the emotion because emotion is where I have the most access. I've always had as a child because my trauma was early, my prefrontal cortex wasn't fully developed, but emotionally I was acting out everything. And as I grew up and even started doing the healing work, I started tracking, oh, this is why I'm this way, or this is the emotion I'm feeling. But I didn't know that every emotion has a resonance in our body. And so she then would say, yeah, I know you're feeling angry, but because that at that point, anger was my go-to emotion. Or I would go from anger to sadness. It was fast. Like I was angry or I was deeply sad. There was no like in between. But then she was like, okay, and where are you feeling it? And I thought, what do you mean, where am I feeling it? Like I'm feeling sad. And she's like, oh, does it have a color or texture? And I swear, you're so agitated at her. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? To the point, and we joke about it because I still work with her. That today, that those are the questions I'm asking my clients, and but I do understand how hard that is, because I do have a couple of clients who really struggle with that somatic piece because all they had access to was here. And so the job then is to use that, and this is why the frameworks are so important, because I've had people come back and tell me it's so useful to have the framework, because when they understand themselves, then it gives us an entry point into trying to go deeper, without while knowing that there's nothing wrong with her, because otherwise with us, because we think we are broken. Otherwise we think that there's something terribly wrong. Other people can feel all of this and I'm not feeling it. Well, that's just how our system evolved, or so, rather I should say survived, because that's all we had access to. So there's deep compassion that we can bring to that.